Your next element of film is dialogue, which is the verbal communication in films. Characters relaying information to each other or telling us how they feel about the situation. The number one rule for dialogue is that it must be authentic for the audience to buy into it. So if a film is set in the 1800s, we want people to talk like they're from the 1800s. We shouldn't hear them saying modern day slang. We also want it to be authentic to the character themselves. We don't want adults to talk like teenagers. We don't want children to talk like grannies and grandpas. We want it to be authentic to the character and to the time. So the slang should make sense and the tone of voice should make sense. All of this should match together with the film and the character. There are two different types of dialogue, speech and voiceover narration. Speech is just dialogue that's delivered between two characters, usually called a conversation. And voiceover narration is an off-screen monologue. You remember a monologue is just one character speaking that accompanies images and scenes. It could be by the main character in the film, or it could be by a separate outside character. I included this image from Twilight not because it's a good film, but because it does feature both speech and voiceover narration. So in this scene, Bella and Edward are out to dinner, and the speech would be the dialogue between the two characters, meaning what they're saying to each other. Voiceover narration is going on inside of Bella's mind, and we hear her thoughts as the audience. Here's an example of voiceover narration. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a great example where he breaks that third wall and actually turns to look at the audience, but he also speaks to his co-stars. And here's an example. My head is almost in the right place. Here's an example of voiceover narration in Elf. Of course, Will Ferrell is our main character in Elf, but it's actually narrated by Papa Elf. He's the one who's telling the entire story. Here's some famous dialogue. Let's see if you can name that film. Just keep swimming. Which film is it from? Finding Nemo. Why so serious? Have you heard that line before? From Dark Knight. Toto, I've got a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. From The Wizard of Oz. May the Force be with you. From several Star Wars movies. Mama always said life is like a box of chocolates. That would be from Forrest Gump. The infamous I See Dead People, if you remember from The Sixth Sense. One that I watched a lot in high school, I Feel the Need for Speed. That is from Top Gun. And There's No Crying in Baseball. Where's it from? A League of Their Own. So dialogue is important to us because we want dialogue to be authentic to the time period of the film and the characters themselves. And we also want meaningful dialogue that will stick with us long after we've seen the movie.